Hello, everyone. My name is Federico. I'm the co-founder of Evmos, which is a fully interoperable EVM chain on Cosmos. And today I'm going to talk about Evmos and the future of blockchain interoperability. So when we start thinking about interoperability, we usually classify interoperability protocols in three different interoperability clusters. The first of them being the EVM cluster that provides different bridge solutions to interact with different EVM chains on different L1s. Then we have Cosmos with its IBC protocol that allows seamless transfers between chains that run on Cosmos and Tendermint BFD. And finally, we have the Polkadot cluster that has the cross-chain message passing standard. But the main problem with these main interoperability clusters is that there's no full interoperability with all these different EVM chains and the different interoperability standards. This is what I call like the local group of interoperability, where every single interoperability cluster can talk to all the chains that share the same standard, but cannot talk to other chains that are, for example, on Polkadot or on the EVM interoperability cluster. So the global idea is to create a massive interoperability supercluster that is able to attract liquidity and create interoperability for all the different interoperability clusters that I mentioned. And this is going to be Evmos. Evmos is going to be the main point of entry for the entire EVM ecosystem into the Cosmos world. Evmos is going to provide seamless interoperability through EVM bridges to all the EVM chains that are on different L1s, but also provide IBC integrations for smart contracts and ERC20 tokens. It's also going to be composable without losing full sovereignty, so like providing all the benefits from an EVM ecosystem, an EVM runtime, but at the same time providing all the benefits of an application-specific blockchain. It's going to attract liquidity from everywhere because it's going to share all the interoperability standards from the EVM ecosystem through bridges and also for IBC that will be able to talk to different applications. And it's also going to be integrating, vertically integrating a seamless user experience so that users that are coming from the EVM ecosystem don't have to learn all the Cosmos lingo from scratch. So we can create all this amazing user experience and developer experience that the EVM ecosystem provides. But why is Evmos different than any of the other EVM chains that you've seen so far? Evmos is completely innovative, and it's the next frontier of EVM development because it provides novel tokenomics. It has like a great community and user experience. It runs on a fully scalable and fast finality EVM, and it also provides full interoperability solutions. So now I'm going to talk about the first major component, which I call the first pillar, which are the tokenomics. So the Evmos token model is able to align all the single users in the entire EVM and Evmos ecosystem. It provides staking and LPing for token holders, user incentives for DeFi users. It also allows decentralized app store for application developers, and grants and community pool tokens for core developers, but also at the same time, developers and validators can still get transaction fees and block rewards. So how do we align all these different incentives in a same token model? The first thing is developer incentives, which as opposed to EIP 1559 that burns the base fee on Ethereum, we're splitting this base fee between all the validators and the developers that the transaction is targeting the transaction. So for example, as a user, if you interact with the decentralized applications, you will be paying 50% of those transaction fees to the developers that deploy their application, while the validators in this case will still remain and still gain 50% of those transaction fees. We're also allocating 25% of the block newly minted tokens to usage incentives. So this way we can further incentivize all the users to interact with the different applications. We took the same model as different AMMs in the Cosmos and EVM ecosystem that are incentivizing LP pools, but we apply this model now for smart contracts. The usage incentives allows users to get incentives while they're using applications. For example, Diffusion, which is an AMM on Cosmos, on Evmos, is able to provide all these usage incentives for all the DeFi users that are interacting natively with their protocol, so that they can earn more rewards. So the Evmos token model is proposing, is creating like a flywheel to further incentivizing and creating long-term economic sustainable growth for the user and different actors in the entire ecosystem. For example, devs propose usage incentives to bring more growth into their applications, which drives all these usage incentives and gives them Evmos tokens. Then, once these users interact and get all these Evmos tokens, they spend them on the different dApps and application services that are deployed on Evmos. And once they interact with these applications, they're paying 50% of these transaction fees to developers and 50% to their users, which is generating additional TVL. And then it's creating a positive reinforcement cycle or a positive reinforcement flywheel to further create alignment between all the developers and users. The next major component of Evmos is the community and UX. Evmos is introducing the first ever decentralized app store, which is a decentralized marketplace for dApp developers and users that are able to create additional visibility for all the applications. Evmos is creating a product on top of an L1 EVM that has full interoperability and EVM fast finality. So through these, there are already hundreds of applications that have deployed to Evmos that are going to be displayed in this dApp store that is going to be creating all these incentive alignment for all the users and applications. But community is not all, and we think that Evmos is also going to provide an amazing user experience by creating a vertical integration of all the applications through this dApp store, but also through explorers, clients, interchain applications, bridge integrations that are going to be using our Evmos.js library. So for example, users will be able to interact natively with EVM chains using with EVM applications using Kepler or MetaMask. So for example, as a user, you can still use your MetaMask wallet to send IBC transactions to other chains in the Cosmos ecosystem. The third major component that I want to tackle today is our EVM. Evmos EVM is powered by Ethermint, which is the EVM library that the core Evmos team maintains. So Ethermint is providing the programmability and composability that any EVM chain environment provides, but it's also providing all the sovereignty and interoperability from a Cosmos environment, because it's providing the EVM and EIP 1559 Cosmos modules for Cosmos chains. This is already used by multiple chains in the ecosystems that are collaborating in this project, and it's fully JSON RPC and EVM compatible. So you can interact and quickly deploy your EVM on Cosmos because of this. Here's an example of an IBC transfer using MetaMask, using the EIP 712 standard. So you can still maintain the same user experience being an Ethereum user and interacting with all the Evmos and Cosmos functionalities. On this final and fourth pillar that I want to talk about today, I'm going to deep dive into is the interoperability component, which I believe is one of the main selling points of Evmos. So right now, Evmos provides seamless interoperability with all the EVM chains by providing different bridges that are deployed on Evmos that have different security guarantees, a latency based on the different user preference. So now users can interact with more than 25 chains bridged on Evmos based on their preferences. But that's not all. Evmos is making ERC20s fully interoperable with the rest of the Cosmos ecosystem by providing an interface for these tokens to be natively converted to the Cosmos native representation. This is all voted through governance in order to prevent malicious ERC20s to be transferred to other Cosmos chains. For example, Diffusion, again, the AMM, already tested this functionality by launching a pool with the wrapped Evmos token and the Gravity ERC20 representation of the Gravity token. So this is able to, for all the EVM chains all the EVM decentralized applications that are deployed on Evmos, to be using all the Atom, the Osmosis tokens, the Juno tokens, and also interact seamlessly with the rest of the Cosmos ecosystem. So now your ERC20 tokens and NFTs are not going to be bounded natively to the EVM environment. Now you're going to be able to transfer them outside into the rest of the Cosmos ecosystem. The next major component that we're going to work on is IBC precompiles. Precompiled contracts are functionality of the EVM that is basically at the runtime when you're generating the chain, you deploy a contract that is not submitted via transaction, and it's set on chain beforehand. Evmos is going to be using an IBC precompile to enable seamless interoperability, not only for ERC20 tokens now, but enabling two different smart contracts that are deployed on two EVM chains to further reduce latency and enabling interoperability for not assets, but data contract calls. So Evmos will provide an IBC precompile on its EVM, same as like any other Ethermint compatible chain, for example, Chronos. And through IBC, you're going to be able to interact with different smart contracts that are not deployed on Evmos, but also on these other EVM chains. So the benefits of these IBC precompiles is it's further enabling the interchain composability and horizontal scalability, because now beforehand your applications was constrained to a single chain. Now it can talk to multiple chains without losing any composability. So you can interact with all these different contracts no matter where they're deployed. So this is making like one single EVM chain on Cosmos that is turning Evmos into an EVM hub, because Evmos will be the main service provider and infrastructure provider for all these applications and services and infrastructure that is going to be deployed on Evmos. The next major component that we're working on is IBC Ethereum transactions. With the IBC precompile, I talked about how two different smart contracts deployed on two different EVM chains on Cosmos can natively interact. But how about non-EVM chains interacting with smart contracts? Evmos is going to be enabling IBC Ethereum transactions so that non-EVM chains can interact natively via an IBC transaction to the EVM. For example, in this use case, Sommelier, which is an Ethereum coprocessor, has this functionality for creating different LP strategies. They're currently using Gravity Bridge, but that further limits them and their users in terms of latency and scalability, because they have to pay higher transaction fees, and their transactions are verified in a longer period. But if they use this functionality, they could talk natively via IBC with, for example, Aave v3 that is going to be deployed on Evmos. So this is enabling other non-EVM chains in the Cosmos ecosystem to talk to your smart contracts that are going to be deployed on Evmos. So again, this is hugely beneficial for interchain composability, scalability, and it's creating more utility for your smart contracts. Because now, no matter where they're deployed, other chains that are not necessarily EVM can talk to them. And it's also great for lower latency, and it's a better user experience for all these other chains that were relying on Ethereum and all these different bridges for finality. Now, interchain workflows. Picture if this and that, or Zapier, but with interchain farming. This is going to be enabling, for example, a series of sequential transactions that are going to be bundled into a single interchain workflow transaction so that you can create conditional workflows, sending, for example, one transaction, I'm going to interact with a contract on Evmos, then I'm going to send an IBC transaction to Osmosis, I'm going to LP that token and create this LP token, and then I'm going to send that to, for example, another chain in the Cosmos ecosystem, and then back to Evmos. So that you can create all these different conditions and create a seamless interoperability, an interoperable interchain workflow that is not bounded to a single EVM chain, but it's now able to talk to multiple chains in the entire ecosystem. This is a functionality that Evmos is going to be providing to the entire ecosystem, and this is going to be hugely beneficial for all the applications that are going to be deployed on Evmos. But what's the point of all these functionalities if all the applications have to be constantly deployed into multiple chains in the EVM ecosystem? If you're running a current project in the EVM ecosystem, you currently must have been reached out by multiple EVM chains or thought about deploying to this EVM chain or other EVM chains. How do we enable all these projects to deploy on a single chain and have the same composability and interoperability for other chains to directly talk to them without having additional maintenance costs and overhead for their team? Evmos is going to be the main EVM hub in the entire Cosmos ecosystem by providing shared security to these other EVM chains that are going to be using Ethermint. So Evmos consumer chains that are going to be deriving this security are going to be able to use all the Evmos decentralized applications, infrastructure, and services. And we're going to be building an entire package for sovereign EVM chains so that if you're currently running an application on Evmos, you can exit into your own EVM chain without the loss of any composability, interoperability, or anything. Because we're going to be providing tools for you to, for example, have additional user acquisition and growth. For example, a Gessler calculator, airdrop mechanics, so that you can select your contracts and filter them in order to define your eligible users for the airdrop, hard spoon functionality, so that you can take the state that is currently deployed on Evmos and export it so that you can seamlessly deploy your EVM chain with one click. And this is also going to be beneficial for Evmos, because there's going to be commissions from transaction fees and from all these airdrops from the tokens that are going to be deployed to their corresponding EVM chains. So this is going to be beneficial for not only Evmos, but the entire EVM ecosystem. And this is how it's going to look like. The Evmos chains will provide all the major infrastructure provider services like Gnosis Save, the Evmos App Store, explorers like Etherscan and the Graph, that is going to be providing all the basic infrastructure layer for your applications to migrate into their own corresponding EVM chain. And they're going to be talking through the IBC precompiles, IBC Ethereum transactions, and interchain workflows with smart contracts and applications that are going to be deployed on Evmos. Thank you very much for this time, and I hope you enjoyed and how we're building the next future of interoperability with Evmos.
Is there any questions, maybe?
Hi. This might be a noob question, but are you a spin-off of Cosmos, or did you fork?
No, we've been core maintainers of Cosmos and IBC for a long period of time. Myself been core contributor of Cosmos since 2017, and I built like most of the components. But Evmos itself is a fully sovereign EVM chain that is an L1, so it doesn't share any of the state with Cosmos. It uses a Cosmos SDK, so like you can share the same modules, like for example the staking and the governance logic, but we also provide like the EVM component and all the token model components as modules, so that other chains can also benefit from it. Cool. Thank you very much.